Mahealani DeAguiar, thank you for coming and being here today and sharing on the Women of Strength platform. Please share with us about your story.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So my platform is called From Adversity to Advocacy. I started the initiative based off my background in foster care. I was adopted in 2006. So it's been a while, and I love my family. There's no place I'd rather be with them. I wouldn't trade them. I'm grateful for all the opportunities they've provided for me. I had met my biological parents back in 2017, I want to say. And I've been grateful. It's been an interesting journey since then.
So you met your biological family. Is that your biological mother and father?
My mother and some of my siblings. I have yet to meet my father.
Okay.
He lives in Hawaii, so that's where I'm originally from. But now Vegas has been home for the last 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long were you in foster care?
I was in foster care until I was 4 years old.
Until 4 years old. I've heard a lot of people who have been in the foster care system, and not a lot of them have great stories about that. What was your experience in foster care?
I was actually born a child of substance abuse, so another term for it would be drug baby, but we don't prefer that term.
Right.
So I was born with kidney issues, liver issues, lung, and I was hospitalized a lot.
Wow.
But majority of it had cleared up by the time I was about 2-3 years old. The only condition I really live with now is asthma, but that's very common, very controllable. It didn't have too much effect on my life. Family that I was so grateful to be fostered by, and they eventually adopted me. I had 3 other foster siblings living in the same home, so it was nice to know I didn't have to do it by myself. But they were a lot older than me. I want to say 10 years maybe, between 5 and 10 years older than I was.
Was it scary going from the foster care system into their home as strangers? They were strangers, obviously, first, right?
Not exactly. The 2 other homes that I was in, I was a baby. So they had me from the time I was around a few months old until they adopted me. So I was with the majority of the family at the same time.
Okay.
It was,
yeah.
The only really strangers were during just straight out of the hospital.
Right. So you have virtually no memory of that phase. It was just, this is all
natural.
You know.
Yeah.
Right. What are some of the statistics of children in foster care?
Off the top of my head, I do believe that 97% of kids who are in foster care, by the time they do turn 18 and they are aging out of foster care, if they had entered the system at an older age, say for example, someone gets entered when they're 5, 6, the older you get, the harder it is to get adopted. But it's always an opportunity if the family sees fit.
Right.
But the older you get, it kind of weeds its way out. Like once you're 18, the government oftentimes doesn't see that, like, why do you need to be adopted? You're 18 years old, you're going to be an adult.
You're officially an adult now. So you sort of age out of the system.
You age out of the system, and they don't see that it's a necessity, and it's a lot of money that most families just can't afford to put it on paper.
Right.
So I know 97% of them will age out, and they'll go into immediate poverty, especially if they're not adopted, or maybe the family they're with isn't that great. They're kind of just waiting to age out so they can leave.
Right.
But they'll go into immediate poverty, and then that sparks another issue of young people being homeless,
right.
Teenage pregnancy, because they're relying on someone else because of their own personal issues. Drug addiction,
emotional, mental health.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
So think about that: 97% of kids in foster care.
Yes. Obviously, you are a contestant in the Mrs. Nevada America Pageant as a Miss contestant. You are competing for Miss Nevada for America Strong.
Yes, ma'am.
Your platform is From Adversity to Advocacy.
Yes.
So what are some of the resources that people regarding this issue can plug into? What ways can they help? Or someone who's in that situation, where can they go to?
Mm-hmm. My personal favorite organization is Foster Love. They are so amazing. They post videos weekly about kids whose lives are being changed, and it's amazing to see when you donate or however way you choose to get involved with them, just the effects of they're really doing something in people's lives. I like to partner with them and do these things called sweet case duffel bags. And their whole motive is to make sure no child leaves a foster home with their belongings in a trash bag. You know, I truly believe like you're not disposable.
Right,
and a lot of
right.
people kids, they feel kind of thrown away. They have abandonment issues. And how degrading is it to leave a foster home with no prior notice and they're like, here's a trash bag, go collect your things.
Wow. I didn't even know that or even consider any of that aspect just now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa.
So when you leave a foster home, if you're not given much notice or maybe you don't have a lot of things, you came in with nothing, the things that you do collect over time, they're like, okay, you have 5 minutes to pack up. Here's a trash bag and you need to leave.
Yes.
And CPS is going to come collect you. So their Sweet Case Duffel Bag initiative, people can volunteer to make them. And I do believe it is around $50 to start, but it's such a small amount for something that can change someone's life.
Right.
Just to prove they're not disposable. So you can order it on the website or even do it in a group setting and they'll ship you all the things you need. They'll give you the bag, the markers, stencils, and even a return postage label. So you get it in the mail. It's a virtual service project. You
Right.
decorate the bag. You can put empowering messages on it like you're worthy, we're happy that you're here, things like that. Draw cute pictures, and when you're done, you ship it back to Foster Love, and they'll get involved with local foster homes, organizations, and they'll distribute the bags to kids in foster care.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that I know that now.
Yeah.
Because that is a big deal. Shifting into the pageant, how did you come to be a contestant in the pageant?
Yeah, so I've actually been competing in pageants for the last 5 years. I started out as a teen contestant in an organization called America's National Teenager Scholarship Org. And from there, I competed for Nevada Teen USA organization. And when I aged out last year out of competing as a teen, I'm 21 now. I wish I could be a teen. No, just kidding. After I aged out, I was really looking for a system that embodies it's not about your look, it's not about your race, it's not about your weight. We're looking for an all-around contestant. And I met Miss Jackie, our director, and from the first conversation, I knew that this system was a good fit for me.
Yes, isn't Jackie amazing? The director of the Mrs. Nevada America Pageant. My first conversation with her on the phone, I was like, I love this person. I just felt like this kindred spirit. And then when we met in person for the first time, I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm looking at myself in the future.
Oh, it's just like a click, huh?
Yes, there's something. And I love her passion then that's something I asked her. I said, why are you so passionate about it? And she, for so many different reasons, but she really just loves the women and what the transformation that can happen to women as they go through this process, the personal growth and just them challenging themselves. And it really is impactful. And while I understood what she was saying in that moment, now that I've been on this journey for a little bit, I really have a deeper sense of what she was talking about. And it is so true.
Yes.
And I am having a blast doing this. This is going to be an experience and a memory for me that it's been thrilling.
Yes, 100%. It's addictive. I've been doing it for 5 years. No, I'm just kidding. But I placed first runner-up last year, so I competed last year. So this is my second year back in a row, and I'm excited. It's addictive in the best way. Pageant is my drug.
Well, and you get to do, it gives you an opportunity to be able to, obviously for ourselves, to do something for ourselves, but you're also doing something good in your community.
Yes, 100%. I do agree. I feel it makes me emotional to talk about it because the amount of people's lives that I've touched, like not just through wearing a crown, because you can do volunteer service with or without a crown. That's, but being able to, the crown gives you a larger voice. It's a microphone. It amplifies your voice. And I feel like the opportunities I've received to help impact the communities, just little ways of, like I have a background in healthcare, so I love getting involved in hospitals and all the jazz. I had done a Christmas event with Angels of Las Vegas where we handed out toys to kids with terminal illnesses who couldn't leave the hospital. So Christmas Eve, we went out there. Oh, it makes me emotional. It's just like seeing people who can't leave their circumstance.
Yeah.
Oh, It was so sad. I was trying not to cry the whole time because I was just like, I wish there was something more I could do rather than just give them a toy, you know, something that's not materialistic. But then I realized it isn't just a materialistic thing. For the ones who are older, to like old enough to understand, that's a memory they keep and they take with them. That was like one of my favorite events.
Yeah.
It really was.
I know that those are going to be moments that I want my boys to be a part of that type of stuff too.
100%.
Because, and I remember thinking this last Christmas before I even knew I was going to do this, was they were all kind of complaining and fighting. I'm like, man, you guys need to be aware of like
what
and
really
have grateful. You guys need to be
Yes.
more grateful. And so I knew I was like, we need to be more like, I need them to see that it's not always like this for people. And so, yeah, that was part of my reason.
Yeah.
But
it really like connected me to my own life too, because growing up, even though I was adopted into a great family, my adoptive parents got divorced a year after adopting me.
wow.
So
you had to experience that.
Yeah, it was a complete shift. And so my mom had me on the weekdays and my dad had me on the weekends, and it was a flip. So my mom would get me Christmas Day and my dad would get me Christmas night. And then the next year it'd be dad during the day, mom at night, or whatever the situation may have been. But my dad was more set than my mom was.
Yeah.
And I just remember like her not being able to provide as much. So I'd be like, oh yes, I get to look forward to going to my dad's house tonight.
Right.
Or I get to go to dad's on the weekend. But I didn't realize like how fortunate I was to even get to experience that, you know, like in my head at the time, like as a kid, you can be so desensitized and ungrateful. I can say that now looking back on it as a 6-year-old kid.
Yeah,
when you're a kid, you don't understand. And I truly was ungrateful. And now I can look back on it as like, I wish. But now that I know and I've grown from that, I can go and help out the kids who truly do needed it more than I did.
Yes. I love that because I can share that as well. I can remember back there was a time in my life where I felt very similar. And just through the natural course of things and maturing, and you look back and you're like, oh man, but the fact that we could look back and recognize that.
Yeah.
And now we can be, it's all meant for a purpose, right?
100%.
I can look at things now with a greater appreciation. So it was like that then for a reason. We learned from it. And I use those types of moments with a level of intentionality when it comes to raising our kids. So, so obviously Women of Strength is my platform.
Yes.
And I wanted to give an opportunity for women and to come and sit down and share their stories. And you have an incredible story.
Thank you.
And isn't that true? When you think of women, most of the time women sit around and we're all talking about something, but usually everybody has a story. And so this was for all women who wanted to come sit down and share. And for you, what is a woman of strength to you? Like, how would you define that for yourself?
A woman of strength to me is someone with perseverance, a woman who just embodies growth. It's just so amazing to me to, like, for people in my circumstance to know where I had come from and where I'm at now. I use my hardships and everything that I've been through as motivation to keep persevering. Because if it's not me as the woman who's filled with strength that's inspiring somebody else, like I want someone else to be able to learn how to do that as well.
Right. Essentially be for someone else what you wish you had for you.
100%, yes.
And I think that is a thing too, is there's two kinds of people. There's the ones that look at life as like the glass half full, and the glass is half empty. Some are optimists, some are pessimists. Some people can come from the same home and have totally different mindsets,
100%.
Totally different results in their life. Yeah, it's how you decide to view things, and you have such a positive outlook on things. And one of the things that stands out about you is your confidence. You know who you are. You walk tall. I love watching you. I still love watching your walk. I take notes from Mahea's walk. You have mastered it.
Thank you.
And you just can tell you're a beautiful, kind person.
Thank you.
When wrapping up, is there any advice you would give to somebody, or even some of the best advice maybe you've been given? How would you want to go with that?
I think the best advice I was ever given was always take advice from people whose situation you would rather be in. Yeah. And it can be controversial, but for example, I have a lot of older friends. Like, I feel like I have an old soul and I just naturally attract friends who are 10, 20 years older than me. But that is a benefit because it's people who've seen life a little longer. And so from one of my older friends, the best advice she gave me was take advice from people whose situation you would rather be in.
Yes.
Look forward is essentially the message.
Absolutely. You want to take advice from people who actually have the results you want in life.
100%.
You cannot learn from somebody who doesn't have what you want.
Yes.
Love that.
And I'm such a recovering people pleaser. And so I seek a lot of validation, but that's just due to my own trauma and my own healing.
Yeah.
And so whenever I'm like, oh, should I get this dress? I'm going to ask A, I'm going to ask B, C, D.
Yeah.
And then I ask all the way down to Z, and then I'm indecisive and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, when I could have just taken advice from the person who I knew had all the answers versus seeking validation from every other alphabet,
Everybody.
from everyone, when I could just ask one person who knows what they're talking about, one person who is educated, who has seen results. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this for a pageant? Just in pageant example, but
right.
Don't ask the rainbow.
What would you advise any young girl coming up who is thinking about competing in pageantry?
Do it. Do the pageant. I know a lot of people stray away from pageants due to the cost of things. It can be expensive, but I remember I've put myself through every single pageant on my own. I couldn't really rely on my family's income to put myself through a pageant. So I remember being 16 years old and wanting to compete in my first pageant, and every single outfit was $9 on Shein, secondhand gown, and I took home a title.
There you go.
And so if it's financial, if it's confidence, whatever it may be, do the pageant. Do it anyway, because at the end of the experience, I always take home something. Even if it's not a crown, it's not a title, I take home an experience or I take home growth. Yep. And that's the biggest part, because the person I was at 16, competing as a teen, is not the person I am at 21, competing as a miss. And it truly has impacted my life. Like the things I've been able to do, the people I've been able to meet, it's really impacted my life.
Love that. Mahea, thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for being the beautiful person that you are and for contributing to the Women of Strength platform.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye.